everyone, welcome back to my channel, Crochet by Kels. Today's video we're going to learn how to do a magic circle and work in the magic circle in the round. So for demonstration purposes, I just have my good old handy 6mm hook and some worsted weight yarn. So to start a magic circle, you actually start by doing a slip knot, but you don't pull it fully tight. So we're going to start our slip knot process like I normally would. And as I'm pulling up that loop to make my slip knot, I'm actually going to stop, insert my hook, and that is the circle that we are working into. So normally I would just pull that tight against my hook, right? We're not going to do that. We're going to leave it loose so that I can work in this. I like to hold my end against my circle because it becomes a part of my circle. But you can see the circle in here. That's your magic circle that we're working into. So that I've got my hook over here, I'm going to kind of bring the yarn over like I normally hold it, and I'm pinching my circle closed. We're just going to chain one to start our circle. That kind of locks it in, and now you can see the circle that you'll be working into. And then you're literally working inside that circle. The pattern might call for single crochets, half double crochets, whatever it calls for. Let's do single just for demonstration purposes. So I would go into my loop, yarn over and pull up, and then yarn over and pull through. That's a single crochet, and now I've got one in my circle. Usually the pattern works in even numbers. It'll usually tell you to do 6, and then we do increases to create a circle round, and that's working in the round. We never stop to join, we never flip our work, we literally work in a continual spiral, and by doing that we have to increase on every row. So this is really good if you need to make a circular project, if you're making like feet and hands on a stuffed animal, if you're making like doilies, anything that is round basically. So we're going to go back in again, yarn over and pull up, yarn over and pull through. That's 2 single crochets, 1, 2. So if the pattern calls for 6, you're going to do 6 in here. Your tail has to slightly always be out. Crochet over your tail is excellent because it hides it, but you do need a little piece out to tighten, because if you pull on this tail, your circle is going to tighten. And we're going to do that at the end. So leave your circle large enough you can work in. It doesn't have to be huge, but at the same time, don't pull your tail too much, closing it up, okay? So I've worked over my tail for 2 stitches. I'm going to leave it out of the way now. You can keep wrapping it around and working over it to a certain point, depending how long your tail is. Mine's pretty short already, so I'm going to just push that back out of the way so I am not working my future stitches around it. I'm only working it around this loop right here. So I've pushed my tail to the back. I'm going to keep doing my single crochets. There's my tail. I'm just going to hide it out of the way. So now we've done 3, 4, and you just kind of work around the circle. 5, 6. So there's my 6 single crochets. It's okay that you have a gap. That's just totally fine. So there's my 6 single crochets. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we're going to close our circle. That's when pulling on this comes in handy. We just pull on our tail and it closes it right up for us. So now here is my first single crochet that I did. We're going to work in the round. So your pattern will generally say to increase at this point in each round for a total of 12 stitches, right? 6 times 2 is 12. So we're going to do the top of this loop. That's my single crochet. Just go right into it. There's 1, and then we have to go again into that one for 2. Then we just keep moving along. We would do 2 in here. We're increasing. 3, 4. Next one. 5, 6. Next one. 7, 8. Next one. 9, 10. And the last one. 11, 12. So now I've worked 2 single crochets in each stitch around. Now I have a total of 12 around. Now counting is very key, but at the same time, if you are unsure, where your beginner is, you're going to actually grab what is called a stitch marker. You can use anything as a stitch marker. You can use a safety pin. I have actual stitch markers. You can use scraps of yarn. I'll show you how to do that as well. Don't mind me digging here for my stuff. Okay, so here's what a stitch marker looks like. Basically a safety pin. So what you would do is insert that into the stitch, and then I know where my beginning is. So for the next round, we would actually single crochet 1 in this stitch, and then we would do an increase here. Then we would do 1 in this stitch and an increase here. 1 in this stitch, increase here. So when we work all the way around, we'll get a total of 18. So we're increasing by 6 each time because our foundation circle had 6. So increasing in each stitch around gave us 12. Now we just do a stitch in one, increase in the second, a stitch in one, increase in the next. Then on the third round, you'll actually single crochet this one, then increase, this one, then increase. The next round, it'll be 3. 1, 2, 3, then increase. 1, 2, 3, then increase. You always add an extra stitch each round you go. That keeps your circle growing and it keeps it flat. If you don't increase and you just keep working the same amount of stitches around and around and around, so right now if I just kept working 12 around and around and around, you start to create a tube. So that would be like making an arm or a leg for something. You're going to create a long, narrow tube. But if you want to create something flat and have it grow, you have to increase around. So stitch marker just helps you to know when you're back together. So for example, this time I know I'm going to single crochet in 1 and then do 2 in this one. Then I'm going to go 1 and then 2 for a total of 18. But if I lose count and I don't want to count to 18, I know my stitch marker's here. So I know as long as I follow the pattern, when I get back to my stitch marker, I should have my 18 stitches. So say I can't count right now, I'm distracted. I know I do 1 and then I do 2. Then I do 1 in the next and 2 in the next. Then I do 1, and then I do 2 in this one. Then I do 1, and then I do 2 in this one. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Now I'm back to my stitch marker, which is in the previous round. So I know I've completed my circle. So now if I stop and count my stitches around, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I know I have 18. So that's why stitch marker comes in handy, because as long as you know the pattern that you have to do for that round, you don't have to worry about continually going, because you know when you reach your stitch marker, you stop. Then you would take your stitch marker out, you would move it up to your current row that you're working on, and then you would continue whatever the pattern calls for the next round. Another way to use a stitch marker is just another thread in a different color. This is very short, but what you would do is you would just lay your thread against there, crochet right over top of it, continue your round, and you know when you've hit your thread again, which is your stitch marker, that it's finished. To pull this center tighter, so you can see there's a hole here. Now that you've worked a few rounds, it's easier. You would just find your tail, and you just give that a pull. Not too tight that you snap the yarn, but tight enough that it cinches that center up nicely. So that's how you work in the round. That's just with single crochets. Lots of patterns will tell you to do what stitch you have to do, but that just gives you an idea of how to increase and how to continue making a large circle. I hope you guys found this video tutorial. Again, slow down the video, practice my hands if you need to at any stage. Keep practicing, have fun. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.